Okay, we are back and have some carrots cut. So I'm going to get the camera on the bins so that we can look at some of those bins and see how these guys are growing. Over here is probably my younger bins. And that's another thing about deciding whether I'm going to grow or not. So I've got to be a little bit more organized on babies, documenting the cycle process, organization. So these are very young. I'm going to go through and pull the little carrots out. The thing with these carrots is there's usually little babies in here. So I have a little container that I just dump them in, and I'll figure out later how many were in that carrot. So I just put that in the middle. What I didn't do at the beginning was, I'm going to show you guys, was I was putting food in everywhere, like right in the corners or, you know, kind of all over. And silly me finally figured out that if I just started feeding towards the end of the bin, they'll come there, okay? And so if you start feeding even before the eggs are emerging, if you start putting that tiny bit of carrot at the end, then you're eventually going to get them towards the end, and you don't have to go into your bin all the way. So I can go to my next bin and just work on the end of it. And even though this is a little further back than I wanted, they're still towards the end. So still have these little carrot pieces, but we're still working with this end. So the other thing I like about this white paper is you can start to see the babies at a very, very young age. So see it on that paper really easily. Figure out a good way to video this and show you guys. You know, I've tried those little shredded carrots, you know, like the sticks or the shredded ones, and they just dry out so fast. But I used to try to do those little baby shredded ones for the very, you know, like right when the eggs were emerging. I thought that would help a little bit, but it doesn't. So I've gone back to just your small carrot at the end of the bin. Okay, now this, I love these. Okay, I love these. I love these plastic ones. I love any of the lids. You're going to see me use anything I have. They want to be under that. So at least in the beginnings, or unless a piece of carrot, like in this case, got put over here, so you're going to have some over there. That happens. Stuff gets moved around for me or other little fingers in the house that play with the worms. Here they are. Okay, so they're on this side somehow. Got over here. I'm going to go back to one thing real quick before I get too far. Set up my camera right. The last video I was talking about food. Okay, that my choice is the organic carrot. When you are starting out and you just have, you know, your aquarium or your main little bin that you've been working on, I would give apples, I've given lettuce, I mean, I've given all those things. So I am in no way disregarding any of those other fruits or vegetables. I mean, they will eat pretty much anything. The apples, they'll eat everything besides the seed and the stem. And so, you know, it was very common for me to, you know, after I finished my apple, I just put the core in one of my bins that, guess I could let y'all watch something while I'm running my mouth here. Where did y'all go? So I do feed a lot of different things. However, your apples, see this is, oh, that's another thing. So this is a tiny piece of lettuce. When I have a baby bin like this, was a couple of weeks ago or last week. Again, I'm terrible at dating, so I'm going to start doing that now. Dating the different bins and their growth and etc. At the beginning, when there's no movement, I do sometimes like to put a leaf of lettuce, like a little, romaine type something, because when that starts getting tiny little holes in it, I know that they're emerged and they're ready to start needing that moisture. Okay, so this one we still have. Okay, now this is an orange peel. This is another food substance that occasionally, if I do have some oranges, and not that this is really true or not, but in my mind psyche, I feel like if I put like a little bit of orange or orange peel somewhere that, it might absorb some odor or maybe, freshen up the place. I do know that, well, I'm learning now that citrus is not good for some of the things that people feed. Like, I don't know. I think it might be geckos or some other type. I'm going to obviously research and find out for sure what animals can't have citrus. But I knew it wasn't a problem for my chickens, so I wasn't worried about it at this point. Now I will definitely try to be more cautious, and I won't be doing that if I do start sharing these worms. Look how quickly they just all go away with that light. This light is so bright on them. So anyway, I forgot to leave these when I went in there earlier. Look at that. They've already covered that. So, back to the food. It's not a all or, nothing type thing. I mean, there's so much you can do with different foods. But like I said, when I come back to the carrot mostly is because it's just something I like. I like to do the carrot. I just did this round of oranges probably 3 days ago, maybe. But again, that's only a half. I mean, it was just a little thing. So here's another thing in this bin we're looking at here. Obviously, you can see that every time I feed, I don't pick out the carrot before. I'm doing it now, obviously, because I'm videoing with you guys, and I'm going to take the time to do that right now. But when you start getting a lot of bins, it's very time consuming to go through and mess with them when they're not giving off any kind of odor or anything anyway. So, and they probably still actually keep eating it. But like I said, with the carrot, even if the carrot starts to have a little bit of browning on it, you're not going to be worrying about, some mold infestation like you would if you put an apple in there. The apples will ferment very quickly, and you will get the smell from an apple fermenting. Golly, they hide so fast with that light. So anyway, so the apple is something for when you are really, really going to be in there a lot. Look at how many are in this little orange. I hate to even take it out because that orange isn't going to smell or have any kind of, danger before I can get back to it. So I used to have I used to put 2 in each because, you know, I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're so small. Like maybe they need two separate things. And like in this case, they do come back here a little bit. But when I stopped feeding back there, I can now actually remove this. Because when I stop feeding back there and I feed here, then they're starting to move up, which is what we want. We don't want, and they will stay underneath this. I mean, they love these containers. So if you're seeing this stuff here, this is an old beetle wing. So from when I pulled the beetles out, you know, occasionally that will happen. Have the old beetle stuff in there. Sometimes even a full beetle. So this bin had some rice bran in it, I can see. That's a whole nother show talking about the different brands and the situations you go through with that. I was buying locally at our feed store, and in the winter is when I had first started. So I didn't even think anything of it. And then in the summer, I was getting these bags that had the weevils in them. So I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? So I started to freeze my bran, and that was even not enough. These actually aren't even hatched yet, so that wasn't enough. Excuse me. So I started to freeze them and then bake them. So I would get my big baking sheets and start just getting a batch, and I would get it out of the freezer. And I think it's supposed to be 48 hours before, you know, to actually kill the eggs. But I didn't want to get any mite situation going on, you know, or the weevils, obviously. But so this is a new bin, and because of my unorganized routine here, or situation, I have this one kind of in the wrong place. I've got to go back and organize. I just pulled all the beetles off of these recently, but you can see some movement. So they are actually in here. They are very, very, very tiny, and you can see the movement now. So I'm going to go ahead and put a moisture source in there because, you know, they'll appreciate it. This one is definitely, I mean, your tell sign is they're already starting to molt. So you see the little tiny molts, and that's your other hint. So this section of bins, I kind of went through a scare where I was thinking that the beetles were eating all the eggs, right? So I was like, oh no, I need to just pull the beetles like within a few days. So I would get a fresh bin, and only put, you know, a tiny bit of substrate in there, and put about 20 beetles, and then give them 2 or 3 days, and then pull them. And because I was trying that to see if maybe I could get more that way. Maybe they were eating the eggs, you know, by leaving them too long. And so, of course, I didn't document everything. So these are just mixed in bins that I really don't know what I tried on. But this is probably one of them because it's a very, very short substrate. So I don't even think these are hatched yet. So I'm just going to put the, oh yeah, I do see some movement. So I'm just going to put a tiny little bit in there to get them coming to the front. And you can see these exoskeleton there. So we do have a tiny section. It's just amazing how all this space, and they come, you know, right here to that tiny little carrot that I had put in originally. And this isn't, I mean, I use anything. It doesn't matter. You know, any kind of cover. I do flip these lids over this way instead of this way. I know it's not a big deal, but because the worms will get stuck in here and they can't get out. So, you know, use your sense like that. So it's really actually kind of sad, but I don't think I'm going to get a very big harvest out of trying those bins that way, because I, you know, just pulled them because I didn't want the beetles to eat them. So I don't really know how much I'm going to get. I mean, look at all that. All of that, and they have all come to the front after those couple of weeks of just putting a little bit of moisture up here. Now, I know I'm not putting a whole lot because these are small. There's a medium stage. I mean, these are like babies, right? And so they're not needing, but you can tell they're even creating frass, being that small. This is the frass. It's just very fine. This was a deeper bin, so probably more eggs. I do not see much in here yet. So I'm just going to put a little, start drawing them in. I know this is getting boring. This is 17 minutes. Wow. Okay, so I don't know, maybe you guys do want to sit and watch these and see it very clear. I mean, these are so small still. These are, yeah, I'm kicking myself for sure because this amount is pretty much all I got. So what I have found is that, I know this sounds crazy, but when I get a deep pan, I'm gonna actually pull you guys off and show you something else. So when I do something like this, yeah, Ranger. When I do something like this, where I take, this is kind of like a workstation setup I have over here for sifting and sorts, which I do outside actually, but I just wanted to show you like a little bit deeper bin. I've done all kinds of different bins, but like when I do a deeper one, and just let the beetles go for longer and not worry about them eating the eggs, it's almost like the egg, and I don't mess with it, I don't mix it or anything. It's almost like the eggs get kind of surrounded by the substrate, and as long as I'm feeding them really well, I don't know. I can't prove it because I've tried to watch a beetle, you know, like what he's doing underneath here, and I've tried to get microscopes and cameras and all that to see if he's eating in the eating eggs, but it's just haven't been able to catch that. So point being is this that I tried that is just really short amount and then pulling them really quickly. I don't think I'm getting the outcome that I want from that. So if you are like me and in between a small and medium-sized operation where you don't really know what you're going to do next, it's all about trial. I mean, it's all about just doing it, getting in there, seeing what works, and having fun. Like, this is really, I mean, this is what I like to do. I like to play with these little worms and feed them and watch them grow, and just the cycle is fascinating to me. The beetles and the cute little alien larva. So this video is really long, and I'm not even down here yet, and so I'm going to check on these guys. These have been in here. Okay, so this bin is already, I've already let go. I need to be harvesting these because they are already pupating, already turning to beetles. So this is a bin that I need to get to work on and to refrigerate and slow down. And I don't know if these lights are going to help do that. So I'm going to focus on work right now. But thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll get some more information out soon. Good night.